The Supreme Court's going to be hearing oral arguments today challenging the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival program, which is known as DACA. The court's decision could impact hundreds of thousands of dreamers across the United States. President Trump tweeting earlier this morning, many of the people in DACA, no longer very young, are far from angels. Some are very tough, hardened criminals. President Obama said he had no legal right to sign an order, but would anyway. If Supreme Court remedies with overturn, a deal will be made with Dems for them to stay. Joining us right now is Microsoft President Brad Smith. Microsoft, we should point out, is the only company that is a plaintiff before the Supreme Court to defend DACA. The company has more than 6 employees who are dreamers. And Brad, thanks for being here. Before we jump into the heart of this, let's just talk about the president's tweet. I believe he's incorrect. I believe if you're in DACA, you cannot have committed a serious crime. Is that the truth?
You're correct, Becky. I mean, there are a number of requirements to be a DACA registrant. You have to have arrived in the United States before you were 16 years old. You've had to live here for 5 years. You have to be either a high school graduate or a veteran. You can't have committed any serious crime. So you're correct.
All right. You are the only company, Microsoft is the only company that's actually listed as a plaintiff, although we have heard from lots of companies, including Apple and others, that have given their support for DACA. What made Microsoft stand with the decision that they would actually be a plaintiff in this case?
Well, the very day that DACA was rescinded back in 2017, we said we would stand next to and stand behind our employees. As you mentioned, we have more than 6 employees who are dreamers. They're doing really important work for our company. And we said we would go to court if need be. And the opportunity arose together with Princeton University and a Princeton student to bring a case. We brought that case, and it's now, as you pointed out, one of the cases before the Supreme Court today.
3 courts before this have ruled on the plaintiff's favor for this. However, the president seems to think that the Supreme Court, which has more conservative justices on it, will rule in his favor. What do you think the odds are?
Well, this is our 5th case as a company before the Supreme Court. You actually never know until you walk into the courtroom exactly where the justices stand. The truth is you don't completely know when you walk out of the courtroom either. I will say I feel good about this case. I think our legal argument is clear. We're not arguing that there's no way for the administration to rescind DACA, but we are saying it wasn't done the right way in this instance. It was put together quickly. It was put together on a very narrow legal rationale that we don't think stands scrutiny. And from our perspective, this is an important opportunity to, frankly, continue to encourage all of us, whether in the executive branch, Congress, or the public, to keep focused on what we're ultimately going to need, a legislative solution and a permanent pathway to citizenship for these dreamers.
Brad, ultimately, I suspect we're going to need a congressional fix here. And in order to do that in the dreamers' favor, you're going to have to win the hearts and minds of the American electorate, public. Yesterday, we discussed some polling data that said illegal immigration was the #2 concern across the United States electorate. And I think that in some corners, people view DACA as a form of amnesty. And in that respect, it sets a bad precedent. And so when I say hearts and minds, really appealing to compassion and empathy. These were people who were effectively told, OK, now you're here, certainly not illegally, but perhaps even legally. Do you think that the hearts and minds are being won? Do you think that battle is being won or not?
I think the American public wants to see some immigration reform. They want to see border security, but they also want to see the kind of steps that we're talking about for DACA. This is not, an everyday immigrant. These people came as children. Let me describe one of our employees. He arrived in the United States when he was 4 months old. Grew up in poverty, got a computer science degree from Cal Poly, is now doing important work on our Azure technology that is supporting the Pentagon and the United States military. It would not only be cruel to deport someone to a country they haven't lived in since they were 4 months old, it's bad for America. It's bad for innovation. It's bad for the economy. These are good people, 661,000 DACA registrants, well-educated, serving in the United States military, serving this country every day.
Brad, even if you win, though, isn't it just leaving up to the administration to find a different way of rolling back DACA?
Well, the truth is, as you all have noted, there will come a day when we need Congress to come to terms with this issue, when we need a bipartisan solution on the DACA issues. Now, this case is still, I think, of great importance. If the DACA rescission is upheld by the court, that means that all these people would be thrown into limbo next summer, and we would be trying to go to Congress in the middle of a presidential campaign. That is not a recipe for reasoned bipartisan action. I think we need and we hope the Supreme Court will uphold the case that we won below. We will ultimately have to find our way to Congress. We would love to do so sooner than later, but we need to be politically realistic. Right. We've got to see the right time come together to protect these people.
Brad, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.